Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. Warriors could target Domantas Sabonis of the Kings. Sabonis is a reliable scorer, rebounder, and point guard who could help many teams in need of a starting center bolster their title chances this season, should the Kings choose to trade him. One team that could show interest in the veteran center is the Golden State Warriors, who could try to integrate him into their starting trio of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green to pursue another title. The Golden State Warriors have had an interesting start to the NBA season as they currently sit 8th in the Western Conference standings with a 13-12 record. Of course, Golden State entered the season looking to compete for a top seed in the Western Conference behind their star trio of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. Unfortunately for the Warriors, their roster has been hit with injuries for most of the season, including to their star trio as Curry is currently sidelined with a left quad contusion while both Butler and Green have also missed game due to injuries. Despite this, Golden State still finds themselves in the hunt for one of the top seeds in the West, and they may be active ahead of the trade deadline to upgrade their roster to compete for a title. Warriors could move Jonathan Kuminga. Kings may show interest. Of course, one player who continues to be in trade rumors for the Warriors is Jonathan Kuminga, and they could look to move him ahead of the trade deadline. Kuminga did not gain much interest from teams this offseason, though the Sacramento Kings did show interest, and with the Kings potentially beginning a rebuild this season amid their poor start, they could try to land the young forward from the Warriors. On the other side, Golden State has recently been linked to Domantas Sabonis, who Sacramento could move if they decide to rebuild. Mock trade sends Jonathan Kuminga to Kings, Domantas Sabonis to Warriors. In a potential trade, the Warriors could send Kuminga, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, Tracy Jackson-Davis and draft capital to the Kings in exchange for Sabonis. Sabonis is a reliable scorer, rebounder, and playmaker who could fit well in the frontcourt alongside Green and would also give the Warriors another key offensive weapon alongside Curry and Butler. This season, the 29-year-old center is averaging 17.2 points, 12.3 rebounds, 3.7 assists and 1.2 steals per game while shooting 51% from the field and 56% from three. Of course, Sabonis has played in only 11 games this season due to injuries, and he is currently sidelined due to a partially torn meniscus in his left knee, which could impact how the Warriors view him. While that may be the case, adding Sabonis to their roster would finally fill Golden State's void at the center position they have been in desperate need of for multiple seasons, and would also provide them with another key player to help them chase a championship this season. Despite this, the Warriors may elect to look elsewhere to bolster their roster for a cheaper price, especially if they decide to move Kuminga ahead of the trade deadline. Warriors' Al Horford problem only worsens after latest injury update. The Golden State Warriors are nearing full health after a difficult period over the past fortnight, but they'll still be without veteran center Al Horford when they host the Minnesota Timberwolves at Chase Center on Friday night. Head coach Steve Kerr confirmed Horford participated in only half of practice on Wednesday, while already ruling out the 39-year-old from what will be Golden State's first game since Sunday's dominant win over the Chicago Bulls. Al Horford's sciatic injury only worsens a problematic start to the season. Horford's absence on Friday will be his 7th in the last 8 games as he continues to manage sciatic irritation. His only appearance during this stretch was against his former team the Philadelphia 76ers last week, where he made his first start. After knocking down a three-pointer on the Warriors' first possession of the game, the 5X All-Star missed his next 7 shots, including 6 from beyond the arc. The fact Horford returned for that game, yet will now have missed at least the next 3 games, is a growing problem that signifies just how careful Golden State's medical staff will have to be in managing this injury. It shouldn't come as a surprise that the absence is longer than first hoped or thought, with fellow veteran LeBron James having suffered a similar injury in the summer that saw him miss the first 14 games of the season. The further issue is that it exacerbates the complete lack of rhythm that Horford has had since joining the Warriors in the offseason, having missed multiple games even when healthy as the team manages the 19-year veteran on one side of a back-to-back. Horford has appeared in 13 games for Golden State, averaging a career-low 5.6 points and 4.0 rebounds while shooting a paltry 32.1% from the floor and only 29.8% from three-point range. The news is more positive for the Warriors when it comes to Stephen Curry's current quad injury, which has seen the 2x MVP miss the past 5 games. Kerr revealed that Curry practiced fully on Wednesday, offering optimism on the 37-year-old returning on Friday, albeit without confirming he's a guarantee to face the Timberwolves. Draymond Green was absent from practice for personal reasons, but there's also a hope that he'll return against the Timberwolves after missing the last 2 games due to a foot sprain that was re-aggravated against the 76ers last week. Steve Kerr empathizes with Jonathan Kuminga amid trade rumors, says everyone is expendable except Stephen Curry. Steve Kerr makes his feelings known on Jonathan Kuminga, says everyone except Stephen Curry is expendable to the Warriors. Jonathan Kuminga has now reportedly taken one step closer to the exit door for the Warriors. His future has been put in question recently after Steve Kerr decided not to play him despite him being healthy in their most recent win against the Bulls. During the Warriors' recent press conference, Kerr addressed the impact of the business side of the franchise on their plans. He also spoke about the plight of Kuminga and empathized with him amid the recent rumors. "I think it's not impacting anything for us. You'll have to ask him about his feelings. I can imagine it's not easy for him. We've talked about the situation. My desire is for JK to be the best player he can be, regardless of where he ends up, here or elsewhere. I tell my guys a lot, there are very few players who end up playing for one team their entire career. That rarely happens. I played for 6 different teams. None of us know what's going to happen with JK, or none of the guys, for that matter. Although I would advise Mike not to trade Steph," said Kerr while trying to break the ice. "I've talked to Moses about it, I've talked to JK about it, and most of my guys. It's a really weird league, a weird business to be in, where you have to fully commit to a team knowing well that they might trade you or cut you. And that's a really hard thing to reconcile as a player, but the sooner the guys can recognize it, the better. Especially if you've never been traded, that first one is weird and difficult, I can speak from experience." Kerr then moved on to discuss the daily updates on Kuminga, where he also showcased some empathy towards the 23-year-old. "He had a great practice today. We talked before practice. He did the things I asked him to do, and I was thrilled about that. I think there are a lot of young players in the league, not just JK, who have to find themselves and figure out who they are as players. I do think that's an important experience for JK. I keep coaching him, and as he said, we have a good relationship. The combination and fit, all of that has been going on for a few years, and I'm not going to shy away from that, it's pretty obvious. I do feel for him that he has been sort of at the whim of my decision-making based on what I want to see from our team," concluded the Warriors head coach. Kerr seemingly tried his best to include Kuminga in the plans for the team, giving him multiple chances as a starter where he flourished initially. But unfortunately, just like last season, he got injured between a good run, and eventually his replacements earned their spot in the minutes rotation over him. When Kuminga was a starter at the beginning of the season, he averaged 14.1 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 3.1 assists while shooting 45.5% from the field in the first 13 games of the season. He then eventually lost the starter role and averaged 7.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 2.0 assists while making only 30% of his shots from the field in the last 4 games he played. According to Warriors insider Brett Siegel, Kuminga's time in Golden State is coming to an end, and his exit from the Warriors is more a question of when than if at this point. He also added that the Kings are definitely interested in adding Kuminga to their roster, but do not have anyone except Keon Ellis who garners interest from the Warriors. Even Mark J. Spears of ESPN believes that Kuminga wants out of the Warriors and is only being professional due to his contract with the team. As per rumors, several executives believe Kuminga to be one of the best trade assets in the league, especially considering that the second year in Kuminga's extension, 2026-27, is a team option for $24.3 million. It will be interesting to see what Kuminga says about his relationship with Steve Kerr and the Warriors after he eventually gets traded from the franchise, post the January 15 trade eligibility date. Warriors' Al Horford disaster may lead them back to a familiar trade deadline position. If Horford is not the solution to their problems, are they yet again in need of a center at the trade deadline? Last season, as the Golden State Warriors made the move to acquire star forward Jimmy Butler at the trade deadline, it was to the chagrin of many fans that they did not go out and pick up a rim-protecting center instead, a position that was widely seen to represent their greatest weakness at the time. Yet, while the Butler trade has already paid massive dividends, the inconsistencies of Al Horford, who the Warriors signed this past offseason in an attempt to fill that void, could leave them in the same position yet again as the trade deadline creeps closer and closer. In many ways, Horford was not meant to be the end-all, be-all at center for Golden State. At 39 years old, how could he be? Yet, as this iteration of the Warriors' weaknesses become more clear, it could be a real possibility that they are stuck, yet again, in the market for a center this season. Al Horford has not been the Warriors' solution so far. From the outset of this past offseason, Golden State very quickly identified Horford as their primary target, and, despite lingering interest from other teams, Horford made clear his intention to wait out the Jonathan Kuminga saga and ultimately sign in the Bay. The Warriors very clearly valued Horford, and the decision to sign to a 2-year, $11 million contract with a player option reflected that. Yet, so far this season, Horford has not been as effective as many fans, or the organization, would have hoped. While he has played well on an individual defensive level, his offensive production has fallen off a cliff. Through his first 13 games, he's averaging 5.6 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 2 assists while shooting 29.8% from three-point range. Moreover, Horford has only started one game this season, and has already missed 12 due to injury or rest, and the Warriors have been forced to go back to a combination of Draymond Green and Quinton Post at the 5 as a result. While Post has made great strides defensively, neither of these are absolutely ideal solutions for a championship contending team. Green is best utilized in his natural position at the 4, and there remain enough long-term questions around Post's consistency that the organization likely does not yet have complete faith in his ability to hold down the position. Golden State, meanwhile, is 17th in the NBA in points in the paint allowed to their opponents on a per-game basis, and they are 23rd in the NBA in second-chance points allowed. No matter where you want to place the blame, Horford's arrival has not had the impact that many hoped it would, and, as a result, the Warriors are experiencing many of the same struggles in the paint that they did last season. As a result, they could be left in a deeply familiar position when the trade deadline inevitably peeks its head around the corner, calling up teams in search of a player to fill that void. Steve Kerr confirms Warriors will employ odd lineup after Stephen Curry returns. Maybe it will still work, with teams face elimination in a surprising twist-in. The Golden State Warriors have seemingly found a spark plug in backup point guard Pat Spencer. The 29-year-old has helped fuel the team to some solid performances without Stephen Curry, and head coach Steve Kerr has made it clear that Spencer will remain in the rotation even when the 2x MVP returns from injury. The Warriors are hopeful Curry will be back in time for Friday's meeting with the Minnesota Timberwolves, having now missed 5 straight games with a quad injury. Warriors will keep playing Pat Spencer when Stephen Curry returns. Kerr appeared on 95.7 The Game and had the following to say about Spencer's role when Curry returns. "I can tell you that I'm definitely going to play him, Pat, with Steph some, and we'll see. Some of it will depend on matchups. But the way Pat is playing, the way he's impacting winning, the way he's impacting the competitive spirit of the team. I have to keep playing him. We're winning, and he's a huge part of that." For Spencer's part, he has said all the right things about how he could potentially be used after the return of Curry. Spencer said the following to 95.7 The Game. "Kerr doesn't owe me a conversation. We may address it, we may not, but ultimately my whole career has been built off of staying ready." That sort of attitude is exactly what has made fans fall in love with Spencer. He is a guy who was basically an afterthought on the roster at the beginning of the year, yet has proven that he can absolutely ball out when given the opportunity. All season when he has been given chances, Spencer has shown consistently that does the little things right, something some of the younger players on the team, namely Brandon Podziemski and Jonathan Kuminga, have struggled with at times. Spencer showed what he can do offensively as well over the past week, producing great performances that almost led to two improbable comebacks against the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Philadelphia 76ers. The team came up short in both of those games, but his solid play continued in two winning efforts against the Cleveland Cavaliers and Chicago Bulls. Kerr used him to great effect when Jimmy Butler was on the floor, so it seems he's now going to be open to experimenting with how Curry and Spencer will interact together. It will be interesting to see how Spencer and Curry do look on the floor. Perhaps it could work because Curry is so unique point guard and this ability to play off the ball, with that movement creating so many scoring opportunities for himself and others. Spencer has shown he knows how to get the ball to the right player at the right time, so having them both out there can work if Spencer can consistently find Curry and others. The fact that Kerr is willing to give Spencer playing time when Curry returns speaks volumes about how the coach's willingness to reward his players. It would be a little disappointing if Spencer played as well as he has, only for Curry to return and be offered nothing more than a pat, no pun intended, on the head on his way back to the bench. We will see if Spencer continues to take advantage of his playing time even after Curry returns, but Kerr rewarding him shows he's willing to go with the hot hand, especially when that hand belongs to a feisty, energetic player who isn't afraid to mix it up with rival stars and crowds.